clear as mud, isn't it? Magic. 2,000 years of history just opens up like a flower.
Gamaliel.
Yeah.
He's known in secular history as well as biblical.
Oh yeah. He was, in my notes somewhere.
The only teacher to be given the highest title, Rab. There are 3 degrees. There's Rab, Rabbi, and Rabbin. He's called Rabbin. Rabbin Gamaliel.
And his father's place,
Hillel.
Hillel, was quite a famous school, the school of Hillel. I can't remember how many years. I thought I had it written down. It is somewhere in my notes here. But it was quite a famous school. Of course, not just Jewish life, but outside, I would know quite that it was quite famous. And so the privilege that Paul had to actually be allowed to go and be taught by Gamaliel, because he wouldn't have that many students. It said a lot about Paul and his standing in the community.
And why the Lord chose him?
This is the other factor. I mean, he was the ideal guy to stand between East and West, both Jew and Gentile. He had the intellect to take on the Jews, but he also had the intellect, because as he does in some of the other things we saw him on, for example in Acts chapter 17, he also was well read in Greek history and theology and philosophy. So he was able to, as he actually says in one passage, he's able to talk to the highest on a level, and he's able to talk to the lowest on a level, and be able to bridge that gap between all those different cultures.
Peter could never have done that.
No.
Peter could never have done that.
Peter was fisherman, you see. Yeah. So he was out of his depth.
Oh. Not being passive at you.
Yeah. So he was the ideal person to take on. It's a sad fact of life that sometimes people will only listen if they have a first respect for you, which is actually how we've seen Paul in that, basically a sermon, where he starts to build the bridges. Look, this is my credentials, if you like. That I am one of you. Matter of fact, I'm probably more zealous than you are, basically. And then introduces how he came to change through Christ, and therefore try to bridge that in. Not everybody, there'll be people who listen to Paul there who'll be quite involved in the riots maybe, but later on, in a quieter time, they'll think about a lot of what Paul has to say, and who's to say that later on they won't become Christians themselves? The impact that Paul had, that's just way.
Yeah, because the early Christians recognised him and feared him initially to begin with. Must have been those who once walked with him and think,
what's going on?
This is so.
Yeah. Have you gone mad? Basically. When that's happened to you. So that's why it's important. It's an important foundation, because when you think about it, probably the next 12 books really, a lot of them are Paul deal with the churches. So that a foundation that comes out of Acts, a historical foundation, both for Peter and his 2 books later on, and John, if you like, for 1st and 2nd, 3rd John. But Paul is the prime mover in the Gentile world, and here is in the book of Acts, Luke is laying down that very strong, solid foundation of the kind of person Paul was, the credentials Paul was, and the impact that Christ had in Paul's life. When you think of all the things he went through later on, he had to have that solid foundation in order to still, he's the one who suffered so much, but still is the one who talks about love most, talks about joy most, talks about hope most. It's interesting. So you've got a powerful character.
Why was Tarsus given Greek citizenship, not Greek, Roman citizenship?
It's in my notes somewhere. Quite often, usually, they had to have done something special for the Rome. Perhaps in an attack or something, some of the cities would stand up and fight Rome side, with the Romans, and they would be recognised for that. Maybe, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm almost sure it's in my notes somewhere.
Yeah, Tarsus was a university city, one of the main cities in those days. It was Greek in its influence, but nevertheless it had Roman influence as well. And undoubtedly, Paul's father at some point would have been granted citizenship by the Romans because he'd rendered maybe some civic service. to buy it, as Graham said, was very expensive.
So even though he was a Jew, he was a Roman citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, both,
Right.
both. Dual citizenship in a sense, yeah. The only, I've got bigger notes, not on my other computer. The only comment I've got here was, he was born a Roman citizen, that his father before him was a Roman citizen. He didn't receive his Roman citizenship because he was born in Tarsus, because Tarsus was a free city, not a Roman colony. But he was born in a free city didn't necessarily imply Roman citizenship. But Tarsus had been, many of them in Tarsus had been given that right. But I've got, in my heavier notes I've got on Tarsus itself, a lot more. No problem. Anything else? My teeth, I've got my teeth in tonight. Anyway, okay, happy? Alright. Frank, will you close the